It's funny, isn't it? You spend your whole life believing certain truths, like your marriage being rock solid or your partner being completely trustworthy. But sometimes, those truths start shifting in ways you can barely see until they're too late. For me, the cracks appeared on a mundane Tuesday evening. Honestly, betrayal should at least have the decency to announce itself with thunder or lightning. But no, life prefers irony. I had just finished crunching numbers for a presentation, aiming to impress a big client with the perfect blend of professional precision and a personal touch. Family photos, I decided, would hit just the right note. The best of these, predictably, were tucked away safely on my wife Lisa's phone. Grabbing her phone from the kitchen counter felt natural enough. But this time, the device didn't recognize my face. Weird. My heart did a quick little skip. But no big deal, technology glitches all the time, right? Hey, Lisa, I called casually, glancing toward the kitchen. Did you change the Face ID settings on your phone? There was a moment of silence, longer than it should have been, filled only with the clinking sound of dishes. Oh, she said too casually, her voice a notch higher than usual. It's just for security. My phone was acting funny, so I reset everything. Security, my foot. Her voice carried that slight edge, like when you ask your kid if they did their homework and they swear they did while kicking the incomplete sheets under their bed. Something wasn't right, but I wasn't ready to push it yet. Mind unlocking it? Just need a photo. Lisa paused, then slipped out of sight. When she returned moments later, she handed me the phone with the exact photo open. No room for exploration, no chance to glance at messages or notifications, just precisely what I'd asked for, nothing more. The evening felt off-kilter after that. I lay awake long after Lisa turned her back, scrolling idly through her phone again, always keeping it just out of reach. Why'd you really change your Face ID? I asked, the question slipping out despite my best efforts. She stiffened noticeably, her voice sharpened by irritation. Mark, I told you security. Lisa, we never had secrets. What's changed? She flipped over abruptly, glaring at me like I was the unreasonable one. Stop being ridiculous. Not everything means something. Oh, but her anger told me otherwise. It screamed louder than her denial, louder than any accusation could have. Something had shifted, subtle and undeniable. That night, I lay staring at the ceiling, watching those tiny cracks spread silently, like a fracture in the foundation of a house you thought would stand forever. But here's the funny thing about betrayal, it rarely arrives fully formed. Usually, it's just the opening act. Little did I know, the real performance was yet to begin. When suspicion creeps into your marriage, it's like discovering a shadow you never noticed before. It stretches longer, deeper, darker, until you can't unsee it. After the Face ID incident, my radar was on high alert. Each interaction with Lisa became another clue, another puzzle piece in a game I didn't want to play but couldn't escape. Her phone became like a precious artifact, always hidden away, always close to her side. It even followed her into the bathroom, as if she feared I'd hack into it the second she let it out of her sight. Paranoid? Maybe. Or maybe my instincts were sharper than I cared to admit. Then came the weekend. Our son Liam had his big school play, the kind of milestone no parent ever missed. But Lisa casually informed me, just hours before showtime, that she wouldn't make it. Work emergency, she said, glancing away too quickly. You know how it is. Actually, I didn't know how it was. Lisa had never missed these things before. PTA meetings, school plays, soccer games, she'd been there for all of them, camera ready, smile bright. But now? Suddenly work had become so crucial that it outranked our kid? Seriously, I challenged. At 6 p.m. on a Friday? She sighed, loud and exaggerated, as if I were the one being difficult. These things happen, Mark. These things? I bit my tongue, but something felt deeply off. Liam tried to hide his disappointment, but every time his eyes scanned the crowd during his scenes, looking for her and finding nothing, his shoulders drooped just a little more. When we got home, Lisa was still nowhere to be seen. The house felt emptier, colder somehow. I put Liam to bed with a reassuring hug, but as I walked downstairs, I felt anger simmering, a low, quiet boil that wouldn't let up. Midnight came and went. I paced the living room, checking my phone obsessively. Finally, around 12:30 a.m., headlights washed over the window. Lisa breezed through the door, calm as you please, acting as though coming home late was totally normal. Busy night? I asked, my tone clipped. She froze briefly, surprise flashing across her face before settling into annoyance. You waited up? I called your office, I said bluntly. They've been closed since 5 p.m. So where exactly were you tonight? For a moment, Lisa faltered. Her eyes flickered with something guilt? Fear? But she quickly regained composure. "You're imagining things," she said dismissively, brushing past me toward the stairs. "Honestly, Mark, stop being so paranoid." But the seed of doubt had already grown into something more. The shadow stretched longer, darker, swallowing every bit of trust I'd held dear. The question wasn't whether she was hiding something, it was what. And more importantly, how long until I found out. There's a special sort of numbness that comes with suspicion. It wraps around you like a fog, dampening sound, dulling colors, until you're not even sure you trust your own senses anymore. But all it takes is one harsh, undeniable piece of evidence to pierce through that haze. For me, that came in the form of a grainy photograph and a short, brutal note. One evening, returning home after a particularly frustrating day at the office, I found an envelope taped to our front door. My name, Mark, was scrawled in sharp handwriting. Inside was a single photograph, Lisa, wearing a sleek black dress I'd never seen, cozied up at a dimly lit bar, smiling a smile that hadn't been aimed my way in ages. Beside her was a younger man, hand comfortably resting on her thigh. A short note accompanied the image. "This isn't the first time. You deserve to know the truth." My world spun sharply, like a top that had finally lost its balance. Lisa, my wife, the woman I'd shared a life with, trusted implicitly, smiling at another man like he was her favorite secret. Betrayal doesn't just hurt, it hollows you out from the inside. Minutes felt like hours as I sat in the kitchen, photo clenched between trembling fingers. Finally, I heard Lisa's car pull into the driveway. She entered the kitchen, smiling innocently, oblivious to the bombshell I held. "Hey," she greeted, reaching to kiss my cheek. But she stopped short when she saw the look on my face. I tossed the photo onto the table, watching it land like a slap. "Care to explain this?" Her eyes widened, panic flickering briefly. Then came the denial, predictable yet infuriating. "Mark, it's not what it looks like," she stammered, voice wavering. "It's just a misunderstanding." I laughed bitterly. "Don't insult me. Who is he?" She hesitated, shifting her weight uneasily. "A colleague. It's nothing serious. I swear." "Nothing serious?" I echoed incredulously. "He's touching you, Lisa. At some bar I've never seen. Tell me how exactly that's nothing serious." Her silence filled the room like a thunderclap, louder than any words she could have said. In that quiet moment, trust shattered irreparably. I knew then that my marriage, my life as I knew it, was nothing more than a carefully crafted lie. But while the truth hurt, I was determined not to let it break me completely. If Lisa thought this was over, she had no idea how wrong she was. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new game, a game I was ready to play. It's strange, really, how come a man can feel once everything he thought he knew gets blown to smithereens. The initial shock fades fast, replaced by something sharper, colder, a clarity that cuts straight through to the bone. That's what I felt the morning after I confronted Lisa. My wife, my best friend, the woman I'd pledged to love forever, was someone I no longer recognized. But instead of rage or self-pity, I woke up feeling oddly detached, like I was watching my life unfold from afar. Lisa had retreated to the guest room. Neither of us had slept well, I'm sure, but we hadn't exchanged another word after our explosive confrontation. In the quiet gray dawn, I found myself calmly brewing coffee, my mind crystal clear. The game had changed, and Lisa had unknowingly handed me the rulebook. By the time she finally emerged, carefully put together but unable to hide the tired circles beneath her eyes, I was sitting at the table, sipping coffee as casually as if I were reading the morning news. "Good morning," she murmured uncertainly, edging toward the coffee maker. "Is it?" I asked lightly, sipping my coffee. "Because it feels a bit different to me. You know, considering last night." She stiffened, her shoulders pulling tight. Her back was to me, but I saw her hands falter slightly as she poured her coffee. "Mark," she started quietly, still avoiding eye contact. "We need to talk about this properly." "Talk about what, exactly?" I asked calmly, watching her closely. "The lies? The photo? Your new friend?" She flinched visibly. "I didn't mean." "Lisa," I interrupted gently, "you meant every part of it. What hurts most is not even the betrayal, it's the fact that you clearly thought I was stupid enough never to find out." She finally turned, her face pale but resolute. "Mark, please, let's not do this." "No," I said firmly, setting down my mug. "Let's absolutely do this. You owe me the truth. Who is he? How long has this been going on?" She sighed deeply, shoulders dropping. "His name is Ryan. He's new at work. It was never supposed to get serious." I laughed humorlessly. Not serious? You mean just casual infidelity? She looked away, biting her lip. It started out as harmless flirting. Then it got out of control. I never meant to get caught. I finished for her. Tell me, Lisa, did you ever think about Liam? Did he cross your mind at all during these late-night rendezvous? At the mention of our son, she cringed as if struck. Mark, that's not fair. You know I love Liam. I thought you loved me too, I said coldly. Clearly, I was wrong. The room filled with heavy silence. Her eyes welled up, but she swallowed hard, her voice wavering as she finally spoke again. I'm sorry, truly, but you have to understand, things between us haven't been good for a while now. Right, I scoffed bitterly. So naturally, the solution was to find comfort in someone else's arms. It wasn't like that, she snapped, a spark of defiance igniting her voice again. You've been distant, consumed by work. Oh, so now it's my fault. I interrupted sharply. Is that how you justify it? She glared at me, her own anger bubbling up. I'm not justifying it. But marriages fall apart, Mark. People change, and we clearly have. For a moment, her words hung in the air, and we stared at each other, neither of us blinking. I felt a deep pang, not of pain, but something else, resolve. She was right. Things had changed irrevocably. But it wasn't just the marriage. It was me. You're right, I finally said quietly. Things have changed. But let's get one thing clear. You changed first. You betrayed me, Lisa. And I won't forget that. She dropped her gaze, nodding silently. Then, after a pause, her voice came softer, resigned. What happens now? I leaned back, watching her thoughtfully. What happens now is simple. We end this. She blinked, genuinely startled. You want a divorce? Yes, I said without hesitation. Did you honestly think there was another option? She seemed momentarily stunned, her carefully maintained facade finally cracking. I thought we could work through this. No. I shook my head clear-eyed. You thought I'd forgive and forget, like some lovesick fool. But you miscalculated. I might have loved you blindly once, but not anymore. She sank into a chair, her hands trembling slightly. Mark, please don't do this to Liam. Let's at least try counseling. For his sake. I leaned forward, eyes narrowed, voice low. Don't you dare use our son against me. Liam deserves parents who respect each other. You've shown you're incapable of that. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it again, defeated. Fine, she whispered finally. What do you want me to do? Nothing, I said simply. For now, let's maintain appearances until we can handle this quietly. But understand this clearly, Lisa, there's no coming back from this. She nodded numbly, accepting her fate. But even as she sat there, defeated, I knew my work was just beginning. The revelation of her betrayal had only lifted the veil from my eyes. It hadn't yet evened the score. Lisa might have thought this was a moment of surrender, but in truth, it was just the calm before the storm. I wasn't interested in forgiveness, not anymore. Now, I was driven by a single, clear purpose, making sure she understood the full weight of what she'd done. And while I wasn't proud of this new darkness I felt, I embraced it. She'd unleashed something in me, something cold and calculating that I'd never known existed. By the time we parted from the kitchen table that morning, Lisa wore defeat like an ill-fitting coat, unaware of the true storm brewing behind my eyes. She believed the worst was over. But in reality, the stage was only just being set. If you'd asked me a year ago if I was capable of calculated revenge, I would have laughed in your face. But betrayal has a way of rewriting your personal rulebook. The day after Lisa and I had our confrontation, I felt a newfound clarity, the kind you feel when you've finally accepted a hard truth. I had lost the woman I thought I knew, but in the process, I discovered a strength I never realized I had. And now, I was determined to use it. The first step was simple yet crucial, appearing calm and composed in public. Lisa and I still needed to show the world a picture-perfect marriage, at least temporarily, especially for Liam's sake. But beneath that facade, my mind was already working overtime. My plan started quietly. It had to. Lisa wasn't just clever, she was observant. Any hint of a sudden shift in behavior would tip her off, ruining everything. So, I went about my daily routine as if nothing had changed, smiling politely at neighbors, attending school functions, holding Lisa's hand in public when necessary. Every act of normalcy was strategic, each moment of false intimacy adding another layer to the smokescreen I was building. At work, however, things were different. I finally confided in Mike, my best friend and coworker, who listened in stunned silence as I relayed the story over beers at our usual bar. Mike had always been sharp, reliable, a man of few words but deep integrity. His disbelief quickly shifted into quiet anger. "You okay?" he asked softly, concern creasing his brow. "I'm not okay," I admitted, swirling my beer. "But I'm in control now." "What's your play, Mark?" I leaned forward, glancing around before lowering my voice. "I'm going to make sure she understands exactly what she's lost. Not just me, not just our marriage, but her precious sense of control." He eyed me cautiously. "You're sure you want to go down that road? It could get messy." I smiled grimly. "Mike, she's already made it messy. I'm just cleaning it up on my terms." Mike nodded slowly, taking another thoughtful sip. "All right. What do you need from me?" I reached into my pocket and pulled out a flash drive. "This contains copies of all our financial records, everything. Lisa's personal accounts, her joint accounts, spending habits, the lot. I need you to help me analyze them. I want to know exactly how much she's been hiding from me." Mike took the drive without hesitation. "I'll get right on it." "Thanks," I said quietly. "I owe you." He shook his head firmly. "No, man, you don't. Friends stand by each other. Always." Armed with Mike's assistance, I felt confident moving forward. The next step was carefully confronting Lisa's so-called colleague, Ryan. Knowing the man's name gave me enough leverage to do some digging online. It didn't take long to uncover his identity: Ryan Jacobs, 29, a junior marketing exec with an annoyingly perfect smile. I studied his social media profile, noting his arrogance in every carefully curated post, flashy suits, expensive watches, exotic vacations. He was exactly the type Lisa would gravitate toward when she craved excitement over stability. It was pathetic and predictable, but useful. On a whim, I anonymously booked a lunch meeting with Ryan through a fake email, presenting myself as a prospective client for his firm. It felt oddly thrilling, orchestrating this encounter, knowing that he would walk into it blindly. We met at a trendy cafe downtown, bustling with noise, perfect for discretion. He arrived exactly 5 minutes late, flashing a charming, confident grin as he approached my table. "Sorry to keep you waiting," he said smoothly, extending a hand. "Ryan Jacobs." "Mark Stevenson," I replied coolly, shaking his hand firmly. I saw the slight flicker of recognition in his eyes as he took his seat opposite me, confusion quickly masked by professionalism. "So," he began, recovering quickly, "what can our firm do for you, Mr. Stevenson?" I smiled politely. "Actually, this isn't about your firm, Ryan. It's about Lisa." He froze, momentarily startled. Then his face hardened slightly, the charm slipping away as realization hit. "Lisa. My wife," I clarified pointedly. "Or rather, soon-to-be ex-wife. You know her quite well, don't you?" His eyes darted around nervously, clearly caught off guard. He tried regaining his composure. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," I interrupted firmly, my voice calm but icy. "Here's the deal. I know everything. And I mean everything: the hotel stays, the late-night meetings, the lies." He swallowed hard, glancing around again before leaning closer, his voice a desperate whisper. "Look, I swear I didn't mean for this." "Save it," I snapped, eyes narrowing sharply. "I don't care what your intentions were. But if you have even a shred of intelligence, you'll listen very carefully. End it immediately. Break all contact, personal and professional. If Lisa reaches out, ignore her. If she texts, block her. Am I clear?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again, jaw clenched. Finally, he nodded stiffly. "Understood." I leaned back, satisfied. "Good. Because trust me, Ryan, you don't want to see what happens if you cross me again." He sat silently, glaring but defeated. I rose from my chair, buttoning my jacket smoothly. "Oh, and Ryan?" I paused, smiling coldly. "Be careful who you play games with next time. Some of us play to win." With that, I left the cafe without looking back, my heart racing but triumphant. I felt no guilt, no remorse, only satisfaction. It wasn't justice yet, but it was a solid start. On my way home that evening, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mike. "Found something interesting. Lisa has a hidden account. Significant transactions over the past 6 months. Details tonight." I smiled grimly, feeling the pieces of my plan click smoothly into place. Lisa believed she had me beaten, betrayed, and weakened. She couldn't have been more wrong. The curtain was rising on a performance she'd never anticipated, one where the final act was entirely mine to direct. She had written the first chapter of our new story with betrayal. Now I would pen the last, with retribution. In life, secrets have a curious way of rising to the surface, no matter how deeply they're buried. Sometimes, you have to help them along, but once uncovered, the damage is permanent. Lisa had hidden her secrets well, but now, piece by piece, they were coming undone. Mike's discovery was a critical turning point, proof she wasn't just hiding infidelity, but something more, something financially significant. We met late that night at Mike's apartment, sitting around his cluttered dining table, laptops open, scattered paperwork spilling across its surface. He looked exhausted but determined, his eyes intense as he handed me a printout of transactions from Lisa's secret account. "Take a look at this," he said quietly, pointing to a series of entries. My heart quickened as I scanned the documents. Large withdrawals, irregular deposits, several labeled simply as expenses. It painted an unsettling picture. Lisa had been funneling thousands into this hidden account over months, carefully avoiding attention. "What are we looking at here?" I asked, my voice tight. "Cash transactions," Mike replied seriously. "She's moving money around, large amounts, frequently." I cross-referenced a few things. "Notice how some coincide with your business trips or your son's school events." He was right. The timing was painfully clear. Each withdrawal or deposit matched dates when Lisa would have known I'd be distracted or away. She had been playing this game far longer than I'd realized. "What's your theory?" I asked, feeling dread twist in my stomach. "Honestly?" Mike hesitated, then spoke bluntly. "I think she's preparing to leave, Mark. This looks like a carefully orchestrated exit strategy." His words hit me hard, a gut punch I hadn't expected. It wasn't just betrayal anymore, it was premeditated abandonment. Anger surged through me, hot and blinding, before settling into cold determination. "Then we have to act fast," I said sharply. "I need hard proof of where that money's going." Mike nodded firmly. "Already ahead of you. Tomorrow, I'll tap a contact at the bank. Might take a day or two, but we'll track it." "Thanks," I said quietly. "This means more than you know." "Hey, that's what friends are for, right?" Mike said, smiling grimly. "Besides, I can't stand watching her do this to you. It's just not right." I left his place feeling raw but focused. The depth of Lisa's deception was staggering. But she had underestimated me, failed to realize how resourceful I could become once my trust was shattered. Now, with every lie exposed, I felt stronger, not weaker. Returning home that night felt strange. Lisa was in the living room, curled up in front of the television, pretending normalcy. She glanced up as I entered, her smile forced. "Long day?" she asked, attempting casualness. "You could say that," I replied calmly, taking a seat across from her, watching closely. "Got some interesting news today." She stiffened slightly, eyes wary. "Oh, yeah," I continued smoothly, maintaining eye contact. "An old friend called about some unusual financial activity. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" She froze, her face betraying just the briefest flicker of panic before regaining composure. "I don't know what you're talking about, Mark." I smiled, coolly shaking my head. "Funny, because I could have sworn you'd know exactly what I meant." Her eyes narrowed slightly, voice tight with annoyance. "Are we playing games again? I'm tired of this." "No games," I said softly, leaning forward slightly, my voice lowering dangerously. "Just facts, Lisa. You can stop pretending. I already know everything." She laughed nervously, dismissing me. "Please, Mark. Spare me the dramatics." "No dramatics," I insisted. "You've been siphoning money into a hidden account. Planning a little exit strategy, right?" Her face paled instantly. She stared at me, eyes wide, speechless. Her silence was confirmation enough. "How did you?" "You underestimated me," I said simply. "Again." She shifted uncomfortably, eyes flicking away. "Mark, let me explain." "No." I cut her off sharply. "I'm done hearing your explanations. Here's what's going to happen now. Tomorrow, you'll transfer every penny back into our joint account. Then you'll close that secret one." Her jaw tightened, defiance flaring briefly. "Or what?" I smiled coldly, holding her gaze steadily. "Or our divorce won't just be quiet, it'll be very public. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who you are." Her composure wavered, anger quickly replaced by genuine fear. She knew I was serious, she knew exactly what I could unleash. "You wouldn't dare," she said weakly, her voice trembling slightly. "Try me," I replied softly. "You played me once. You won't get the chance again." She nodded numbly, beaten. "Fine. Consider it done." Satisfied, I stood, moving toward the stairs. Pausing briefly, I looked back at her, sitting there defeated, surrounded by the shattered illusion she'd created. Oh, and Lisa? One more thing, I added calmly. Your little friend Ryan won't be contacting you again. Ever. Her eyes widened sharply, genuine shock crossing her face. What did you do? I smiled slightly, coldly. Nothing worse than what you've done already. But he knows better now. Leaving her stunned in the silence, I went upstairs feeling a grim satisfaction. I hadn't wanted this war, but Lisa had chosen it. She'd mistaken my kindness for weakness, my trust for blindness. But now, her world was rapidly unraveling, her secrets exposed, her allies retreating. In bed that night, alone but at peace, I knew sleep would elude me. Instead, my mind turned steadily toward the next phase. Uncovering the truth was just the start. Next came ensuring Lisa faced genuine consequences. Not petty vengeance, but true accountability for every betrayal, every lie she'd woven. Lying there, gazing into darkness, I knew the hardest part was still ahead, protecting Liam from the fallout. He'd done nothing to deserve the chaos she'd unleashed. My son would need strength, stability, and reassurance. And I vowed silently that no matter what Lisa had done, she would never rob him of those things. Tomorrow, Lisa would begin transferring funds, forced to dismantle her carefully constructed safety net. Meanwhile, I'd continue gathering evidence, ensuring she could never twist the narrative again. It was messy, it was brutal, but above all, it was necessary. As dawn approached, gray and quiet, my resolve hardened further. Lisa had dealt the first blow, but I would deliver the last, ensuring she fully understood the cost of betrayal. The days following Lisa's confrontation were tense, each one a careful dance of polite indifference. The charade of our marriage continued for the outside world, especially for Liam, but beneath our facade, a quiet, intense war brewed. Lisa complied with my demands, transferring the funds back into our joint account without resistance. Watching her submit was both satisfying and strangely hollow, as if victory had lost its sweet taste in the harsh reality of what our marriage had become. Meanwhile, I maintained close contact with Mike, who kept digging into Lisa's financial past. Each discovery added layers to her betrayal, shopping sprees disguised as business expenses, luxury weekends away under the pretense of work conferences, gifts purchased clearly for someone else. She hadn't just betrayed me emotionally, she'd used our shared finances as her personal playground. Yet, for all the deceit uncovered, I found myself troubled by something deeper, Liam. Protecting him had become paramount. I refused to let him suffer for Lisa's choices, but how could I shield him entirely? He was smart, sensitive, and already sensed something was wrong. His quiet questions at dinner, "Is everything okay?" pierced me more deeply than Lisa's betrayal ever could. I knew I couldn't stall the inevitable forever. It was only fair that he learn the truth from us before it surfaced elsewhere. So one night, after Liam went to bed, I brought it up with Lisa. "We need to talk to him," I said flatly, standing in the kitchen doorway as she finished dishes, a mundane task that somehow seemed absurdly normal amid our chaos. Lisa turned sharply, defensive. "He's only 11, Mark. He doesn't need to know everything." "Not everything," I agreed calmly, "but enough to understand why things will change. He deserves honesty more than you gave me." She flinched, but didn't argue further, nodding slowly. "When?" "Tomorrow evening. Together. We owe him that much." That night, neither of us slept. The next day dragged by in torturous slowness, each minute ticking closer to a conversation neither of us wanted but knew was inevitable. When evening came, we sat Liam down on the couch between us, a physical representation of the emotional divide we had created. Liam, perceptive as ever, looked from me to Lisa nervously. "What's going on?" he asked, voice tight with worry. I took a deep breath, searching carefully for words. "Liam, your mom and I love you very much, and nothing will ever change that. But things between us have changed." "Changed how?" His voice was barely a whisper, eyes wide and frightened. Lisa finally spoke, her voice steady but soft. "We've decided to separate for a while. Sometimes adults realize they're happier apart." "You're getting divorced?" Liam asked sharply, eyes filling with tears. "Is it because of me?" "No," we both said at once, firmly. I continued gently, my heart aching for him. "This is not your fault. You did nothing wrong. Sometimes parents have grown-up problems they can't fix." "But why?" Liam pleaded, desperately seeking a logical explanation. I hesitated, glancing at Lisa, who nodded slightly, her eyes heavy with guilt. "Your mom? She made choices that hurt our marriage. Choices we can't come back from." Liam turned slowly toward her, hurt radiating from him. Did you stop loving Dad? Lisa, to her credit, didn't look away. I made mistakes, Liam. Big ones. But it's never been about loving you any less. He lowered his gaze, shoulders trembling softly. My heart splintered at his silent grief. I reached over and gently squeezed his shoulder. Liam, we'll always be here for you, always. That will never change. He nodded numbly, then stood suddenly, running upstairs to his room without another word. His door slammed, a sound that echoed painfully through the house. Lisa's composure shattered as she began quietly weeping. But this time, I offered no comfort. She had earned every bit of the pain she felt. After a long silence, I spoke coldly. He deserved better from us, especially you. Lisa nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. I know. Mark, I'm sorry. For everything. Her apology felt meaningless now. The damage was done, irreversible, stretching far beyond mere infidelity. Our son was hurting, confused, feeling the brunt of choices he never made. Standing abruptly, I left the room without another word, the weight of Liam's pain heavier than any betrayal Lisa could inflict. The true cost of her actions was painfully clear now, measured not in anger or revenge, but in the shattered innocence of our child. That night, I lay awake, haunted by Liam's wounded eyes. The reality of revenge was losing its allure. The real battle was ensuring Liam emerged from this as unscathed as possible. With the divorce officially underway, life fell into an uneasy routine. Lisa moved out, taking an apartment nearby, but the tension between us remained thick. Co-parenting felt more like delicate diplomacy, each interaction carefully neutral. Yet despite the separation, bitterness still lingered, sharp and unforgiving. Lisa's betrayal had sparked a deep anger within me, a relentless drive to ensure she truly understood the magnitude of her actions. But as weeks passed, I noticed Liam withdrawing. Once vibrant and cheerful, he now rarely smiled, grades slipping, friendships strained. The divorce had become his burden, a weight he never deserved. Witnessing his suffering was unbearable, the guilt overwhelming. One evening, Mike confronted me candidly over dinner. You've won, Mark. Lisa's paying the price. But at what cost? Look at Liam. I glanced down, shame prickling sharply. Mike continued firmly but gently. Is revenge really worth this? He was right. My desire for vengeance had clouded the bigger picture, my son's well-being. The real casualty of this battle was Liam, caught innocently between two wounded parents. Later that night, as I tucked Liam into bed, I spoke softly, genuinely remorseful. I'm sorry, buddy. I let my anger blind me. Your mom and I both love you very much. We need to do better for you. Liam looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. Promise. Promise, I said firmly, feeling a weight begin lifting. Determined to heal the damage done, I approached Lisa differently, setting aside bitterness for Liam's sake. Our conversations gradually became respectful, even civil, prioritizing Liam above our wounded egos. In counseling, Liam began to regain his confidence, slowly rebuilding trust. He needed us united as parents, not adversaries. And to Lisa's credit, she genuinely tried, matching my efforts step by cautious step. Months passed. Our relationship became cautiously amicable, respectful boundaries carefully established. Though wounds lingered, we both recognized the importance of peace for Liam's sake. As time softened bitterness, I realized true revenge held no satisfaction. Lisa's betrayal had deeply wounded me, but it didn't define me. Healing came through forgiveness, not for Lisa's sake, but mine and Liam's. One quiet evening, Lisa visited to discuss Liam's birthday. Before leaving, she paused, speaking softly. Mark, I know forgiveness might never fully come, but thank you for finding peace for Liam's sake. He deserves that. I nodded slowly, genuinely calm. He deserves everything we can give him. Let's keep doing better. She smiled faintly, sincere yet respectful of our boundaries, before departing. Watching her leave, I felt at peace, finally ready to close this painful chapter. Lisa's betrayal had reshaped our lives irrevocably, but we were moving forward, stronger and wiser, living proof that while betrayal scars deeply, resilience, forgiveness, and the unconditional love for a child could heal even the deepest wounds.